And live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College is the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast, where we inform and inspire Gen Z to become even more entrepreneurial and innovative in our global economy. I'm your host, Julie Sampson, Director of the Scheinfeld Center, and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us to build livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. In this episode, we're celebrating Global Entrepreneurship Week. By joining with us today, you're part of 180 countries, hosting over 40,000 events with 20,000 partners and engaging more than 10 million people. And this is all to celebrate, collaborate, and inspire people worldwide to unleash great ideas and take the next step in their entrepreneurial journey. Our two guests today are from Germany and Zambia originally. And in support of Gen Z entrepreneurs across continents, our mission is to explore entrepreneurial ecosystems, issues of inclusion, and best practices for startup success. This is relevant because Gen Z is on track to become the most entrepreneurial generation to date. And entrepreneurship is an important pathway to creating livelihoods, solving pressing problems, and benefiting humanity. And we can all learn from each other, and it's good to step outside of our own network and gain new ideas and perspectives or reinforce those things you already know. So with that, let's go ahead and meet our guest. Joining us from Amsterdam is Chiinga Musonda, a co-founder of the Zambia-based award-winning brand Savannah Premium Chocolate. The company is Zambia's first single-origin bean-to-bar chocolate maker with a goal of building a global brand of luxury African chocolates while extending the value chain of the cocoa bean industry in Africa. The company won the 2019 European Bronze International Chocolate Award, and Chiinga is also co-founder of two fintech companies, Too Many Payments, which makes it easy for businesses to accept mobile money and other forms of payments, and Money Phone, which provides digital loan origination solutions for microfinance institutions and banks. Chiinga has over 15 years of global senior management experience and holds an MBA from Harvard Business School and a BA in economics and computer science from Smith College. Joining us from Aachen, Germany is Lucian Holtwiesche, who is co-founder of two startups, Booking Buddy, which was launched just a few months ago, and Event Buddy, which launched in 2018. With the pandemic, the event business lost a lot of traction. So Lucian and his team pivoted from Event Buddy to Booking Buddy, and they built and launched this online booking platform from the ground up in record time, despite all the difficulties with COVID, providing businesses and institutions one of the most innovative booking systems for managing appointments, rentals, and reservations, while mitigating significant overhead. Their target market is universities and co-working spaces where they gained early traction, and now they handle more than 3,000 bookings daily with great customer feedback. And he hopes to eventually merge both companies, and he's finishing his master's degree with RWTH Aachen University. So welcome, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
So let's just go ahead and jump right in. With our exploration of startup ecosystems, of course, a startup ecosystem is the interdependent community of people, organizations, and other startups in a given location that help startups launch and grow. It can include things like funding organizations, business service providers, educational institutions, mentors, advisors, business support services, and so on. And as an aspiring entrepreneur thinking about starting a business, it's a really good idea to assess the location where you're starting to see if there's the support needed to be successful and if there's any elements missing. it's good to either find the needed resources that are missing, or you may want to consider another location to start. And so my question to each of you is, what component in the startup ecosystem in your country helped you most with the start of your venture? And second, which element of the startup ecosystem do you feel could be strengthened to better support young aspiring entrepreneurs that are coming up in your footsteps? Chiinga, would you like to start us off with that?
So we launched 2 years ago, and the way we found our customers was actually through Facebook and Instagram. So a lot of Zambians use Facebook and Instagram, and our first customer came from Instagram, and they ordered 15 chocolate bars. And we were really excited that they ordered the chocolate bars. And then the same person who ordered the 15 later came back to us and said, I talked to an MD who manages an airline magazine, and they would like to write an article about you. And through that, so we had an article in an airline magazine. One of the general managers for ShopRite found out about us, and he was also quite excited. And he said, well, would love to have your products in ShopRite. So it's really using, the network of Facebook and Instagram, and then word of mouth worked really well for us. We also had, like, for example, the wine shop also reached out to us because they'd seen our ads on Facebook and said, would love to have your chocolates in our stores. So we found that the local stores and shops were actually quite open to supporting new local products. So that was very, very exciting for us. In terms of areas that could be improved, I think particularly for younger startups, I think there's need for a lot of training and funding as well. So that's not very readily available. So in a country like Zambia, if we can have more support systems for them to get the relevant training and also funding at a much, much earlier stage, that would be very helpful.
And is there programs like that under development that you know of?
Yes, so we have quite a number of hubs or accelerator programs that are in place, but some of those you have to pay. So not everyone has the money to pay for those programs. So that's a challenge. And I think there is potentially an opportunity for online training if it can be combined with networking with people who've had the experience of entrepreneurship. That would be a great way to support the young generation.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And Lucian, how about for you in Germany?
So when I founded my first company, which was Event Buddy, I was still studying in my bachelor's, and I found it really hard to transition from studying to working really hard on the startup and doing it simultaneously while worrying about being funded and having to pay the rent, for example.
Yeah.
And one key component which helped us to transition from studying and working in parallel was a kind of scholarship which is granted by our state in Germany, and which allows us for 1 year, for the first year of founding the startup, to be independent, because they actually pay a monthly scholarship for up to 3 founders. And this really helps you to focus and to free from any financial worries. And I think this is really important for young founders and especially for students in this instance. And also besides the scholarship, there's an association in Germany which is called Digital Hubs. It's meant to strengthen the digitization in Germany. And so there are digital hubs in all major cities, and they are interconnected with a broad network of coaches and mentors. And this also enabled us to join the co-working space and digital hub here in Aachen, which you can see in the background. It's actually an old church, which was renovated and rebuilt to a co-working space. And it's really inspiring to work here. So this was also one of the most important parts, the community around founding a startup, which helped us here.
So many times, in so many locations, with business owners, entrepreneurs who have been successful, they're so willing to share their knowledge and expertise, but sometimes having a platform, that makes it easy for them to connect with who really needs that, is such an important thing. Sometimes it's making that matching and the connection
Yes.
that can be so challenging. Yeah. And so, Chiinga, like you were talking about with the, accelerators and incubators, I think that's one of the things that can be really important that happens there too, as well as the funding, to have the access to those mentors who can really provide the guidance to move aspiring entrepreneurs through those areas where they can typically get stuck.
But also on the other hand, talking of the startup ecosystem in Germany, I think it's really hard in Germany to find venture capital because the mindset of all VCs is not this risk taking, which is known from Silicon Valley. It's more conventional and traditional, and therefore it's really hard to find this venture capital. And this also led us to decide to bootstrap the first year, for example, and then see what's going on and have a better base to negotiate any investments.
On that, in Zambia, Chiinga, what's the level of comfort with risk there, the level of that?
Yeah, so I think we get a lot of foreign investors, and a lot of what we hear or what we've seen is that when they provide funding, they actually provide funding to foreigners in Zambia. So not always the local people get the funding. In part, I think, because they're risk averse. So that is also a challenge, but also the local resources, there's not a lot of funding opportunities available from resources. But I think to my earlier point, I think what we're also seeing beginning in Zambia, which you also see in other countries, is that businesses are also joining forces with whether it's accelerator programs or hubs, and trying to bring that creativity to help young people develop solutions for their business. So that's another way that the local businesses are helping to support entrepreneurs. And if more and more companies can do that, then I think there's a lot more younger generations that can be reached.
I love hearing about these instances where all of the stakeholders are coming together to form this strong ecosystem. We just see that if any of those important players are not at the table, not helping, it just really kind of breaks apart the supportive web that's there for entrepreneurs.
Exactly. I think, companies can really make a difference. And I think it's really thinking about our society. Everything has changed. And now a lot of people can start businesses, but we really need to think, how do we partner with the young people? How do we provide them resources and just support them through that journey? Because in turn, that will provide more employment. But there are also examples for other people who want to start startups. So if they can see someone who, started from a bad background and now they're able to build their business, it's very encouraging for others to follow their steps.
And that kind of flows nicely into the next area of inquiry. Diversity, it's a driver of innovation, and even in the best of times, economies suffer if a group of people are underrepresented or face barriers to entrepreneurship. And so we see this movement towards inclusive entrepreneurship, which is about leveling the playing field, ensuring that startup ecosystems support underrepresented groups and provide access to the social capital, the financial capital, the inspirational capital, all of which is so foundational for startups and growth. And for our listeners, so when we talk about social capital, that's meaning social networks and mentoring for all. Financial capital, meaning funding opportunities for all, and inspirational capital, meaning that the images and the perspectives that we have of entrepreneurs are broadened to include all different types of entrepreneurs. So in the US, I think early on, entrepreneurs, when we thought about that, we thought about like the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, the tech entrepreneurs. And for the longest time with students, if I said, do you want to be an entrepreneur? They'd say no. But I would say, do you want to start your business one day? Yeah. do you want to grow your business? Yeah, I do. Right. And so there's kind of this disconnect. So I think that, you know, with being an entrepreneur, there's the spirit that goes along with it. There's the mindset and there's the strategy that goes along with it. That's so important. And so, you know, for this particular question, how strong is that inclusive entrepreneurship movement in your country, and what's the best example of how diversity and inclusivity are encouraged? Lucian, do you want to start this one off?
So talking for me personally, I don't have any experience with excluding people from founding a startup. So our society and also the ecosystem around startups is very inclusive. Just from my observations, it's that women are underrepresented as founders in Germany, but I think this also applies to other countries too. But looking at the ecosystem, I don't think there are hurdles for them. It's just also a question of risk awareness, I guess, and the society question. But there are also some incentives and associations which try to tackle this problem and have special scholarships and programs to support women when founding their first startup. So I really appreciate this. And we also have a co-founder in a women co-founder in our team. So at this point, I think the inclusive is given in the German startup society. And also there's, as I said, a broad network of mentorship and coaches available. So the social capital is really good. As I said, the financial capital isn't quite good, but I think it has to work somehow with the network and the inspiration we get here.
You know, the point that you made about women being underrepresented, yeah, definitely we do have that awareness here, and the challenge here in the US, like just recent data suggests that only 16% of venture-backed companies had a female founder, and only 1% had a female minority founder. And so we do see a lot of venture funds coming up specifically targeted towards these demographics to help balance that out, and also an awareness on some of the established venture funds, you know, to include women on their boards, you know, to help with that, to help with inclusivity.
I think in Zambia, well, the dynamics are different because we have different provinces around the country. And where I see a lot of entrepreneurship happening is in the capital or in the large cities. So which means a lot of people who are living in smaller areas are missing out on the opportunity, or they don't have the resources to support them. So yeah, so I think there is a need to think beyond, you know, everyone going to the capital or investing in people who live in the capital city, but to really think, you know, there are other intelligent people who want to start businesses around the country, and how do we best support them, and how do we provide the resources so that they don't always have to travel to get the support that they need. So that's one aspect of it. The other is also, I think, when I think about education, so you find in some universities, they really have entrepreneurship programs that are helping, but a lot of them do not. So how, you know, as a country, we probably need to think about how do we get the right resources, whether it's in universities or in even starting kids much younger, like teach them entrepreneurship while they're in primary education, so that they're aware of what's possible once they leave college or they finish college, etc.
In Zambia, what is like the mobile penetration there? You know, how connected is the country, and like with the COVID reality,
Yeah.
you know, is there more outreach happening because of that? What's the dynamic there?
Yeah, so in terms of mobile, quite a lot of people have mobile phones. I think every African loves to communicate with their family. I think what we're seeing is also now the rise in smartphones, and smartphones, provide a better way to just to navigate, whether it's the internet or to find information. So the penetration for smartphones is increasing, but I think we still have a long way to go. And in terms of the other part is there's also mobile money. So we have a large part of the population that is unbanked. So mobile money does provide an opportunity for people to, whether it's they're conducting business, it's a way for them to make payments, particularly with COVID. And one of the other startups I'm actually working on is called To Many Payments. And what we're doing is to help businesses accept mobile money from different providers. So the challenge we had as Savannah is that when we need to accept money with mobile payments, we had to provide 3 phone numbers for different telco companies to accept their payments. And then people would come to us, they would say, well, we don't have these 3 mobile numbers. We have this different wallet. Can you accept it? And so I just thought there needs to be an easy way for as a business to say, whether it's this is our website or this is a link you can use, that someone can just make their payment there regardless of what mobile provider that they have. So that's another way we were trying to make a difference in Zambia.
It's great that you have chocolate and technology coming together.
I just personally think it's a great time to be alive, a great time to take the knowledge you've gained and use it, become an entrepreneur, make a difference, make an impact. There's so many ways that people can make an impact. And I love it that young people don't have to wait until they get work experience to start businesses. They can actually start, whenever they want to make a difference.
Exactly. And learn as they go. Yeah. Success leaves clues. So as we grow as entrepreneurs, we're standing on the shoulders of those who came before us. And so as you look back on your startup and the things that you did that really worked, we call them best practices, so what was the top best practice that you implemented in launching your own venture that aspiring entrepreneurs need to know about?
So actually, I could maybe talk an hour about best practices, but I try to focus on the most relevant ones. So I think one of the most important things is to focus on the customer needs and the customer problems instead of focusing on the solution itself. So you really need to understand what is the customer doing, what are the pain points, and what can be done better to structure your product accordingly and to build upon the problems, and don't build any solution and then try to find a problem which fits the solution. So this is really important from having the right point of view. And also, like I said, it's really important to listen to your customers. So also have regular conversations in different forms with your customers. Some could be direct communications, or there could be polls, for example, and feedback loops. And this feedback helps you to work in iterations and really build your product in iterations, and not build it as a complete product from the start on, because this takes too long and maybe you won't succeed in the way you do it. So do it iteratively.
Yes. So we use the term market validation, around that process that you're talking.
That's it.
Oh my goodness. So important, especially these days when consumers have so many choices, right? And so if they can be choosy in what they use. And also, especially, we talk about Gen Z, they're coming on board and will be the next big force, as far as, economic consumers. The thing about this generation is that they're so about what's behind the company, and whether it's a company that they can really support and get behind the idea. It's more about community building, and then you have a product or service that goes along with it.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Lucian. The customer is key, and understanding what they're looking for is key. And for us at Savannah, what was really important is creating quality products, and also just making sure that we integrate the Zambian people's feedback, because at one point, they loved the product so much, they say, this is our product. So it was very much, Zambian chocolate, which I thought, when I was starting, I thought we shouldn't tell them it's made in Zambia. We should, live that out. But they were like, no, why don't you have it right on the packaging that is made in Zambia? So what we focused on is quality packaging, and also providing a unique experience. So we have these customized letters where people can send, they have chocolate written in a message. So we've had, I'll give you one example. So one lady said, well, my mother is turning 80 and I'd like to buy a box of chocolate that says happy 80th birthday. So we made the chocolate, gave it to her, and she said my mother loved it. And this happened last year in April. And then in September, she sent us a message and she said, that box that you made for my mother, she's refused to eat it. Can you make one? She's like, can you make one that says, eat me? Also had people who've given the chocolates with the name to their girlfriends or husbands or wives, and they come back and say, they've eaten the hearts, but they won't eat their name. Yeah. So really, providing quality, but also something that's uniquely tailored to the customers, which makes them feel wonderful, is I think really important.
That customized customer experience, really putting you in a niche of your own, Savannah chocolate in a niche of its own. Yeah. Entrepreneurship and starting a venture has its up and downs, and it's really good for entrepreneurs to share mindsets, ways to think about things that help them get through both the highs and the lows. So we could call this a one-word mantra or a short phrase, something that represents a mindset or practice that has seen you through the best of times, the worst of times as an entrepreneur, that you would like to share.
So I'd say the word is impact for me and my sister. And the reason we started Savannah Premium Chocolate is that we found out that 70% of the cocoa beans in the world is grown in Africa, and it's grown by 2 million farmers. And less than 1% of chocolate is actually manufactured in Africa, which doesn't make sense at all. So we grow the cocoa beans and then import back the chocolate that we eat instead of making it in our own countries. And so in those times when things are going wrong, looking back at the mission and the impact that we want to have to change that narrative is really key. So every time, things turn bad, we can still look at that mission and say, we want to make a difference.
I read, in researching Savannah chocolate, how you essentially eliminated the middleman.
Yeah.
And which provides the farmers with greater income.
Exactly. It makes, when my sister goes to meet the farmers at least once or twice a year, she knows who they are. And these are women, actually. We work with a women cooperative. So it's amazing to just see how, when we purchase the cocoa beans from them, they earn much more and they're really excited. And we're making a difference in their lives, but they're also making a difference in our lives.
Well, I totally agree that impact is really important. And I think if you follow the best practice of focusing on your customer's problem, you will always have an impact on their life and make it easier, hopefully. For me personally, I also founded with my brother, by the way. It's really interesting. For me personally, the most important thing is passion about what you do, because passion helps you that the work you do doesn't feel like work anymore. And this is basically the only way you can work harder and longer than anybody else, and put so much time, effort and love in your product that it's really making your customers happy, and is really also separating it from the competition, because it's really built with a love to detail. And in terms of competition with larger companies, you have to take into account that they have more resources than you. They have larger teams, more financials in the background, and so you need to work twice as hard and twice as long to compensate for this. And I think being passionate about what you do really helps achieving this.
Passion and impact, mindsets to find success with, for sure. Well, Chiinga and Lucian, time goes so quickly. We'll have to leave it at that, but I'd like to thank you so much for being generous guests, sharing your expertise and inspiration for those who are following in your footsteps, and joining us at, it's just about midnight, in your country. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And for our audience, we hope this discussion supports you and inspires you on your entrepreneurial journey, and also really shows you how we can really join together globally as entrepreneurs to support each other, because we're definitely better and stronger together. And we hope you'll join us next week at the same time. Until then, please like, share, subscribe, and invite others to join us too. And have a great week, everybody. Stay strong and keep bringing your great ideas to life. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it.